together, why don't we just like hang out as friends?
Yeah, but all the people I sleep with, I don't generally have feelings for them.
This guy fucking sucks.
Reality TV. As the great Justin Wang once said,
these shows weren't trying to be Citizen Kane, they were basically wrestling for Soccer Mom.
for every The Real World, Big Brother, and Survivor, there was Wife Swap, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, and whoever the fuck thought Chains of Love was a good idea. Since emerging in the 1990s, the genre has pumped out shows that you can either watch for a good viewing for the next hour, or make you question the current state of television.
You are not going to hear any bad versions of Aretha Franklin songs. You will not be forced to endure any mediocre stand-up comedy, because we don't care if you can dance, sing, or tell jokes. All we want to know is one thing. Are you hot?
Gonna find out if you can sue a show for breach of taste.
While there isn't that much reality shows on the tube now as they were in decades past, the 2000s seemed to be the gold rush for the genre, whether they would last into the next decade or could barely make it past the first season. E!, VH1, A&E, and TLC had the most shows in the genre in the 2000s, while Spike TV were pumping out ones that barely made a mark in the public eye or wouldn't be brought up again when it would rebrand as Paramount Network in 2018. But there was one show that was made for Spike TV but would leave a mark in the public eye for a completely different reason, and to this day, we still don't have any visuals from. Paul Rennick and Reet Reese aren't the names that immediately come up when the topic of reality shows are brought up, as they are well known for their film output than their TV output with titles like Zombieland, Deadpool 1 and 2, and Life. Their TV output is a bit scattered than their film output, with the two being the brains behind The Joe Schmo Show and Invasion Iowa, with the former coming back every so often in the years since its original conclusion. But in the gap between the second season of Joe Schmo and Invasion Iowa, the two were putting together their second foray into reality TV, but with a huge celebrity attached to it. And remember, this was before Invasion Iowa was put into production with Captain Kirk himself, William Shatner. The two conceived the show Handcuffed to Mike Tyson, and if the title doesn't give it away, the show would have featured an ordinary man being handcuffed to the controversial boxer Mike Tyson for a whole week. According to Rennick and Reese, Tyson was on board with the show but bolted after a single meeting with Spike TV executives, and they wanted someone who was less controversial than Mike Tyson, and somehow this guy entered the picture. The show was subsequently retitled Stuck to ODB. Note, the show goes under several different titles, but for the sake of this video, we'll call it Stuck to ODB. But before we continue, let me tell you the story of Russell Jones, aka Old Dirty Bastard.
My style is old school. My whole lifestyle was always dirty. And I know that a bastard is one who has no father. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, there ain't no father to my style.
One of rap's most controversial figures, ODB rose to prominence in the 1990s as a member of the highly influential Staten Island hip-hop group, the Wu-Tang Clan, to which he is a founding member of alongside cousins RZA and GZA. Their debut album, Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers, became a huge success when it was released in 1993 and propelled the group to international fame. ODB would establish himself as the most colorful member of the group.
What is going to be your theme for the community?
Nothing.
His first solo album, Return to the 36 Chambers, the Dirty Version, would arrive 2 days after he was filmed by MTV arriving at a New York State welfare office in a limo with his family to get a welfare check cashed.
Why would you want to get free money? You owe me 40 acres and a mule anyway.
Before long, his erratic behavior was starting to attract more attention than his style. The same week he saved a 4-year-old girl from a car accident, he rushed the stage of the 1998 Grammy Awards after the Wu-Tang Clan lost the award for Best Rap Album for their album Wu-Tang Forever to Puff Daddy for No Way Out, in quite possibly the greatest 30 seconds in the history of the Grammys. He would appear on the group's next album, The W, and released his second solo album before the 90s came to an end. And it was around the time of the W's release where things took a turn for the worse. Between the release of Wu-Tang Forever and the W, ODB would be arrested numerous times for failing to pay child support to 3 of his children, assaulting his then wife, driving without a license, and crack cocaine possession. The final arrest resulted in him getting sent to a drug treatment center. Dirty would eventually flee the center in October 2000 and spent a whole month on the run, and a warrant was issued for his arrest. He would be caught at a McDonald's drive-thru in Philadelphia and would get sent back to New York, where he was sentenced to 2 to 4 years in prison. By the time the show began production in summer 2004, Dirty had been released on parole on May 1st, 2003, and was working on his third solo album, A Sun Unique, which to this day has not been officially released, but you can still find it if you know where to look. After he signed on to the show, a casting call went out looking for, and I quote, the whitest guy in Queens to be stuck to Dirty. A man named Bob, who came from an Italian-American family, would be selected, and production would officially begin when Bob was flown out to Dirty's flat in Brooklyn. While the original concept had handcuffs in a way to keep the celebrity and civilian together, the new series now had Bob and Dirty with electronic tethers attached to their legs with GPSs attached to them, and would detect how close Bob and Dirty would be to each other, and if they were more than 10 feet apart in any time of the week, an alarm would sound and a portion of Bob's initial prize money would be taken away. Because of this, Bob and Dirty basically did everything together throughout the production, even to the extent of sleeping in the same room. But not everything about the production was as tedious as staying within 10 feet of each other. Remember, the man Bob was attached to was the same man who nearly blew himself up during a performance at the MTV Video Music Awards.
4, 3, 2, 1.
And got busted in the parking lot the same night. Many bizarre incidents occurred during production, like Dirty and his mother having an argument over the phone and Bob having to listen to it, Dirty hiring a 250-pound stripper at 3 a.m. to give Bob a lap dance, and Dirty letting a fugitive named Panther crash at his place, and even slept in the same room as Bob and Dirty, which resulted in Rennick and Reese helping Panther flee to Philadelphia by setting him there in one of their cars. There was also the time Bob and Dirty got sent to Coney Island while the latter was nursing a hangover, while on parole, and Dirty passed out while on the Cyclone. At one point, Dirty would spend time in Bob's neck of the woods, meeting his family, and being shit at golf on a public course. And all this happened in just 7 days. As a result of staying with ODB, in which he basically rolled with the punches to the point of Dirty getting Bob so pissed he went to the bathroom to munt while the former was passed out, Bob would receive $25,000 for appearing on the show. Of the 4 episodes planned for the show, 3 were completed before production wrapped, and the show was set to premiere on Spike TV on September 14th, 2004. But the show didn't premiere on that day and was pushed back for unknown reasons. However, the show would be delayed indefinitely in a way no one saw coming.
Rapper Old Dirty Bastard, or ODB, died yesterday after complaining of chest pains.
The member of Wu-Tang Clan died Saturday after collapsing at his Manhattan recording studio where he was working on a comeback album.
But this rapper had a history of pain, a troubled life of drugs and jail.
ODB, who was born in the Fort Greene section of Brooklyn, would have turned 36 on Monday.
On November 13th, 2004, ODB collapsed at RZA's recording studio in New York and was pronounced dead just 2 days shy of his 36th birthday. The cause of death would be revealed as an accidental drug overdose. A spokesperson for Spike TV would later say, "We expressed our condolences to the family, and right now, things are on hold due to the tragic circumstances." In 2007, the Wu-Tang Clan would release the album 8 Diagrams, which features 2 songs written by Dirty and a tribute to him called Life Changes. His final performance with the group took place 4 months prior to his death at the Rock the Bells Festival in San Bernardino, California, on July 17th, 2004. With the unfortunate circumstances, the show would go unaired despite Dirty's manager Jared Weisfeld stating that it was his and ODB's mother's call to air the show, and that is what ODB wanted. No clips or photos of the show have surfaced, and given that 3 of the 4 episodes were complete before production wrapped, It's very likely that the show is in an unfinished state, and to hammer home how unfinished the show is currently in, Rennick mentioned in a Grantland interview in 2013 that he is in possession of an hour and a half's worth of footage of the show, and also stating that he didn't know how Spike would feel about making the footage public. As of right now, the show is just one of many examples of shows going unaired because of unfortunate circumstances. Unless the footage is released or the show does get finished, which seems very unlikely, Stuck to ODB will remain a mystery.